Hope you guys are having a good night. I mean, nothing really going on right now. It's crazy. I mean, just a Saturday with no sports, nothing
WrestleMania's
happening.
on.
WrestleMania. Okay, I didn't realize that. I mean,
Yeah, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns and The Rock
oh
and
wow.
Seth Rollins.
I mean, I recognize some of those names. So at the most I got on that. I'm watching the Final Four game, Alabama and UConn, and my Tide are down at the moment. They came back and tied it up, but it's a game of runs. Um, we'll go ahead and I mean, Dave and Cole, you guys can feel free to jump in as we're just kind of shooting the shit and waiting for some folks to join in here. I'm expecting a fairly big turnout for this. I went live half an hour early because Danny Brams specifically requested it, and I guess we have some things to talk about here.
Things to
Actually,
talk about.
yeah, I actually watched this one from home. My kid was a champ and came out to watch the women's game with me for the American Outlaws watch party, and he took a nap. He was kind of fading, and when I got him up, he just didn't quite wake up all the way. So I wasn't going to drag him back out to a watch party. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I'm Level Up Luke. This is the post game react for Charlotte FC and the New England Revolution, live from Twitter. And welcome to the Spaces, guys. Starting off with the game today, the result disappointing 1-0 loss for Charlotte FC. The Crown drops one on the road in rainy, snowy conditions. It was not an optimal game by any means. The turf looked really off to me. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about that. There was some questionable officiating. I mean, still better than the replacement refs, but pro refs are back, baby. Let's kick it over to Dave to get started. After that game, give me like one big takeaway you had, Dave.
One big takeaway, I would say that it was just impossible to put your finger on one or two issues that you're like, okay, that can be fixed. I don't know if it was the.
I'm not hearing him. Is it just me?
I am
Yeah,
hearing him.
yeah, I can hear him.
Uh, I don't know if it was, we started off our first 7 games have been really tough. I don't know if it was weather. I don't know if it was being overconfident with New England, dropping 4 to Club America. There was just so many different things, and nobody looked like they were in the game today. Um, I really couldn't, I couldn't even go to the back line and say they were on spot. Um, just overall a rough game, and I think that's everybody's takeaway.
Yeah, let me kick it over to Ash. What were your thoughts on the starting lineup going into the game? We had mostly unchanged. You had Abada up top. You had Lindsay in for an injured Burn, and then I think basically it was the same.
Yeah, I feel like we have to face a fact that we have players on this team that are just simply not good enough. I love Jalen Lindsay. I think his story of being a Charlotte native is great, but he doesn't have the legs or the pace to um, really compete with Nathan Burton. I think we really miss Nathan Burton. I think it really showed. Another player I think um, has to be criticized a little is Kerwin Vargas. Again, he has mountains of potential and could one day end up being a really great player for us. But right now, he just does not have the ability to be a consistent starter for us. We need to address the left wing issue and get a little bit more creative talent on the wings because right now we have too many inverted wingers that are just thinking about scoring and not really thinking about providing chances. Our biggest chance creator today was Breck Diagare, and even then, they weren't the best. And so I feel like we have to sort out the winger issue, and that should be the priority.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. Vargas, to me, just he hasn't been there since the first game. He hasn't been to the level that we need him to be. I'm looking at SofaScore, and they have him generously at a 6.8. I did not see a 6.8. I saw, even the crosses and the balls that he managed to actually keep in play seemed like they were just completely out of position for where his teammates are. I think he does have good chemistry with Byrne, and he's tracking back and making some productive defensive plays. But Byrne's out, and it did not work for me today. Every time he had the ball, I just was waiting for him to mess it up, and I just didn't see anything worthwhile from him. I will say I'm not hearing anybody mention Euronin. I thought he had a fantastic game. I thought he was probably the best player on the pitch for Charlotte. Kalina had some good stops, but I mean, Yuri was fouled on the attacking half, and the ref didn't call it. And so they had an instant counterattack. And because it was Yuri who was fouled, we only had three members of the back line. They pushed up on that right side, and it was just a mess, or left side. Just a total mess. It was a 4-on-3 attack, counterattack. And Polino was, he made the first stop, but he was completely left out to dry in that goal. Yeah, Dave, I see you have your hand up.
I would counter with Ronan. Our crosses were atrocious, and we had so many not crosses. I'm sorry, corners. He's our corner guy, and I think 3 out of the 4 of them just went out the back line. Didn't even get into the mix.
I think a lot of that is the conditions. That turf, the ball just was not playing on it. I mean, it's wet, it's rainy. The ball looked pretty dead throughout the game to me. But I mean, even when Vargas took a corner towards the end of the game, I mean, there wasn't a much better result. I'm not really seeing. I don't know what we can do on the set pieces. I'm happy to kick it over to Cole and just get some of your preliminary thoughts here.
Yeah, it just wasn't good enough up front. Hey, you said you had SofaScore pulled up, Luke.
Yep.
What was Pat's?
6.2.
Okay, here's my thing: is I want to touch on a few things that everybody's touched on so far. First off, I'm going to touch on the Jalen Lindsey thing that Ash spoke about earlier. I put a tweet out there saying that I'll probably get dragged for this, but this team was missing Nathan Byrne tonight, and I'm getting a lot of people obviously love Jalen Lindsey and are like, I've got one comment that's, well, that you watched this game and that was your takeaway from tonight. I think his mom commented on it and was like, yes, this was his takeaway. And it's like, look, that's not the takeaway. The takeaway is that we once again have missed our chances. We once again have skied our chances. Patrick Agyemang blew it. He had a wide open goal twice and just blew it twice. It just is what it is. That's the focal point of this match, and where obviously once again we're missing our chances. And whether it's creativity, whether it's the wingers not getting or the strikers not getting the service, Ajimong had the service tonight to be effective, to have at least one goal on the score sheet. However, with Nathan Byrne not being there and not having that overlapping play coming down that right side to link up with Aliyah Labata, to link up with the Brecht in the middle, it was hugely missed. Make no mistake about it. I'm not saying Jalen had a horrible game, because he didn't have a horrible game. He was solid defensively, but he's not Nathan Byrne when Nathan Byrne's at his best. You can just watch the game of soccer and understand that. As far as Uronen's corner kicks, the first two corner kicks of the game were phenomenal, straight through the box, and just nobody got a hold of them. The rest of his corner kicks throughout the night, I have to agree with Dave. Whether it's conditions or turf or whatever, they weren't serviceable. They were going out before they even got in to the box, or they just all the way through to the back post with nobody being there. But again, the main takeaway from tonight is we still can't put the ball in the back of the net. I mean, you've played I think it's 7 games now. You got 6 goals. It's not good enough. Liel Abada goes 60 minutes. Nothing really too special from Abada, to be honest with you. I mean, he did have the one shot in the opening, I think, 5-10 minutes of the game that was saved. But Abada was, again, he was on an island out there, and he this was his first start, and he's still getting to know the system. There's a lot of caveats to go in with Abada, so it's hard to judge him off of this. But I will say the finishing by Pat was atrocious tonight. I love Pat to death. Enzo, when he come in, he wasn't threatening in the least bit. Some of his touches were just atrocious. Kerwin Vargas tonight, missing the ball, poor touches, poor passes just straight to the other team. It was just an all around rough game attacking. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The team has got to start putting the ball in the back of the net, or we're going to start dropping down the table.
Yeah, we
Can I
had some
add a little bit to
amazing
that?
moments. Sure, sure. We had some amazing moments,
Um,
but I'm getting a lot of the same frustration. Kicking it over to Ash.
yeah, I completely agree with Ajimon and Enzo Capetti. I'm at the point right now to where I'd say we need two new strikers. Um, Enzo Capetti has been here for a season and a half, or not a season and a half, but over a season, and has not had a game where I'd say yes, we this person is a long term solution and can be a long term goal scorer for us. He just hasn't shown that yet. In terms of Patrick Ajiman, again, a player with good potential, but is just not there yet to the point to where he can be a consistent starter for us. I mean, if you have a wide open goal, you have to get it on target. Um, I cannot. I mean, we've seen Patrick Gottschalk get in good positions, but not even get the ball on target. When Enzo Capetti went on one-on-one with the keeper in Canada, at least he gets the ball on target. I'm not saying Enzo is good enough, but you have to get the shot on target. There are too many chances where we don't even get it on target, and that is something I think this entire team needs to work on.
Yeah, I see that Jay Forrest has joined, and I know he's had a back and forth with Vaughn Pullman on Twitter here, so I'd love to get Vaughn on as well. I've invited both of them, but Jay, let me kick it over to you. Go ahead and elaborate on your Enzo Capetti thoughts.
I I think Ash already did all that. I mean, yes to everything Ash said. We need two new strikers.
Yeah, I mean, Capetti, I mean, the one good cross I remember Vargas having, all Capetti had to do was tap it home, and he just wasn't there. There was a good play in from midfield. He had to get ahead on it, and he wasn't there. I don't know what to do with Enzo when he's not doing what we're paying him to do.
There was also
It's
the free
frustrating.
kick. There was also the free kick with Westwood sending in, and Capetti did get a piece of it, but again, it just wasn't good enough, and it was an easy save for the keeper. When we get those chances, we have to be better, and
It,
I'm not seeing anything from Enzo that shows that he can be better.
when I say when Ash says two new strikers, I'm like, yeah, keep Ajiman because he
Right.
doesn't even take up a senior roster spot and costs like what 0.05% of our cap. Um, but like we need a U22 striker, we need a DP striker. Like
Yeah, totally. And we will be getting Cambridge back as well. He's still out with from recovering from surgery. He had that brace against Chicago last year. Let me kick it over to Dave. What's up, Dave?
Yeah, just to add to the Capetti deal, I mean, I'm I'm to the point, and yeah, we're only 8 games in, but I'm to the point where I'm just done with the Capetti's half effort attempts and then full out drama and moping around and arguing, and you know it's back to old habits already. And um, I honestly think that that mentality has the ability. You see Vargas go from the confidence of 7 shots against Cincinnati to barely being able to make a pass to keep the ball in the opposing third. I just think the mentality of Capetti. He had that one great season with racing. Other than that, he's a 6 to 8 goal scorer a year, and we just when you start looking at the transfer window and moving him on.
Can I ask an honest question? When you saw the Capetti goals in the Argentina league, he had one season when he was playing striker. I think he was converted as a winger. Was anybody honestly impressed with his goals? Or does it seem like he just poached everything that he got? I never saw one thing that he did that was impressive in any of those takes from the Argentinian league.
Yeah, I'll say, as far as his time at Racing, he was. I agree 100% with what you're saying, Jay. I think that he that's what he is as a nine. He's a poacher. He's a poacher nine. He wants those long balls over the top that he can run onto and one touch finish. We've seen it in Orlando last year. We've seen it a couple of times last year. But I was thinking about it tonight when he came on, and he had a chance at the top of the box where he was driving in on his right foot, and I had no thought in my brain that Enzo was going to strike it. I have not seen him strike a ball from outside the box
But he missed
yet.
He missed it, right? Completely.
No, he didn't even take it. He did a wild ass chip that went 400 feet up in the air and came down in the box. And
Oh,
he
that,
just,
oh. Yeah.
yeah, it's the same thing when he was in Rossing. If you go back and watch his highlights, there wasn't, I didn't see any long distance goals. It was all, like you said, it was all poachers finishes where the ball was played over the top or played in behind, and he came onto it and one touch finished it, which is great. That's fine.
So
If you can get in behind, if you have the service to do that.
if we have a top 210 in the league, right?
Exactly.
Like Rossing's a top 2-3 team in the Argentinian league. If we have a 10 that's spot on, puts it on a dime, then maybe he's a goal scorer. But if not, like okay, he can run into some decent spaces, but I have not seen him score anything worth not being a poacher.
Yeah, and what I'll say is, not to get off of that, but I see that Dean Smith's quote says that after the game, I believe we should have won the game today. I think it's criminal we didn't win the game. They didn't cause us too many problems. We caused them ourselves. I'm more disappointed probably of any result this season with that one because this was a game that we should have won. And this is one that I see where he's coming from, but I kind of disagree with Dino for the first time. You didn't deserve to win this game. You don't put the chances away that you created, then you not really. You didn't deserve to win the game, brother. Like it just is what it is. I mean, when Big Pat is missing a wide open goal, when you're not even for the first coming out of halftime until probably the 80th minute, you wasn't even threatening. It was. I mean, it was just. This was again. I do agree with what he says is that we caused the problems ourselves, and this is the most disappointed result so far this season. I agree with all of that 100%. It by far is, but I don't think this is the first time this season where yes, you had the opportunities to win this game.
The
Make no
chances are
mistake,
there.
the chances were there, but you didn't take them, and you haven't taken them all season.
Yeah, and I'll jump in. I think the back and forth between Jay and Vaughn maybe it got a little bit heated, but Vaughn is saying on here he thinks Enzo should have 3 or 4 goals so far this season. Um, it's not good enough, but a player that led a club like Racing to a second place finish can lead an MLS team into a deep playoff run if he's in form and set up for success. Yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. I've never seen that from Enzo. I was not a fan of his last year. I didn't think he was bringing really anything to the table for us last year that we needed. To be fair, I wasn't a fan of Carroll either. But let me kick it over to the Queen's pitch. I saw they joined in. What are some of your takeaways from the game?
When they say don't say anything, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. No, I'm just kidding. It was a tough game to watch. It really was. And I was on the press conference with Dean afterwards. I think he thinks we should have played better, obviously. So I don't think that he's taken away from the fact that we need to do better, because he said we need to do better when we're in the box. But I do kind of agree with the fact that I don't think we deserve to win tonight because we weren't the best team. We didn't play the best out there on the field. And if we can't start finishing, then we have no hope, period. It doesn't matter what we do. So I'm just frustrated with the fact that we can't finish.
Yeah, and I think we were the better team for stretches. I think early on in the first half, we were the better team for sure. But towards the end of the game, also. But we just can't, if we can't finish, it doesn't matter, right? So we haven't, that I can recall, had 2 goals in the same game through just, run of play. That's a problem. You got to be able to
we
score
did.
goals.
It was the Columbus. It was the Columbus game, but they were also down to 10 men.
Right.
So
Oh,
there's
okay.
that caveat as well.
And
But
and we can throw out the Columbus
guys,
game for all different kinds of reasons.
yeah, But I got to hop off of here. We got to call it the fire department. But God bless everybody, and we'll see y'all next time.
Thank you for your service.
Later, man.
So, Luke, we gotta address the elephant in the room.
What's up, man? What do we got?
It's like you're not a fan of Capetti, and then you said that you're not a fan of Cattle, right?
Carol? Yeah, Carol Swiderski.
Cattle Świderski.
Sure.
No, not sure. Respect the name, the way that the man's name is pronounced. This is an international sport.
I am not as talented in that language as you or our friend Eric Krakauer, but I wish I could get to that point. I will endeavor to do my best.
But back that up. You're not a fan of Cattle. Like, tell us why.
Yeah, I never liked his attitude. He seemed really entitled, like he was too good for the club. He didn't back it up. He broke a 7 or more game scoreless streak by running up and breaking the throne and sitting on it in the middle of the game, acting like he was God's gift to Charlotte FC. No, his attitude was rotten. He acted spoiled like a younger sibling who never had to work for anything in his life. I just was not a fan of him or his personality. And I certainly wouldn't say Enzo's the same. I think Enzo comes across as, like a Twitch streamer who plays soccer. But
do you know the fact that that's how he is? Like, how did you even come to that conclusion? Like, he's a spoiled brat that never wanted to be here. Like, do you know what it's like to be him?
No, I mean, hey, we're all just spectators.
He said.
I mean,
he said
he doesn't want to be here. He'd rather be playing in Europe. If you don't want to be in Charlotte, then you don't want to be in Charlotte. So don't be here. Don't take someone else's spot.
Do you know why? Do you not know why? Do you not know what it's like to be him?
Sure. No, he plays for the Poland.
I mean, Abada is excited to be here. Abada is super excited to be here. He wants to be in Charlotte. He took this as an opportunity to grow. So I'd rather have someone that wants to be here for the team and wants to work for the team. I'm not saying anything negative to Carroll because he doesn't want to be here for reasons that maybe he doesn't want to travel or whatever. I don't know.
Do you think that like Abada wants to be here for more than 2 years? Do you think that, like, he's like,
Carroll didn't want to be here for 5 days, much less 2 years.
Right.
Like, from the day that he was introduced to the fans and everybody showed up to the vault, he was standoffish, he was quiet, he was away from everybody. Then we had the whole situation with Mar and whatever was going on in that locker room. You had Carroll on some other social media site going, "Oh, Mar's not a coach. Latanzio's a coach because he has experience with Man City." So then we sack Mar, we give Latanzio a chance. He still doesn't perform. We put the pieces around him.
Wait.
Him being a number one DP has to have the influence with Latanzio and with Zoran. We put pieces out there for him. We get Vargas. We get people to give him service, and he still doesn't perform. He still mopes around the midfield.
And Kettle Swiderski didn't perform?
He was what, an 11 goal a year?
Average at best.
14 was it? I'm sorry, was it not 14 goals last year over all competitions?
Yeah, including PKs because he was the designated PK taker. Sure.
nearly 20 goal contributions. I'm sorry, who on our team is doing anything near that right now?
That's the problem, bro. The problem is like we're literally saying we can't score right now, and Carroll wouldn't be scoring either, man. If Big Pat is not scoring, then Carroll would not be scoring. Pat is amazing. He has a great personality. He makes the players around him better. He's just happy to be here. He's humble. He's all the things that Carroll never was. You know, performance aside, and even performance-wise, he can dominate the attacking third in a way that Carroll never could.
I'm sorry? Say that one more time. Try to back that up.
Pat can dominate in the attack. He can dominate the opponent's defensive line and just absolutely body guys. Carroll was good. He had good technical play, but he wasn't necessarily an MLS DP. I mean, he wasn't a good fit. And if he didn't want to be here,
in our mind, he is, because we've never. He's the only one that's ever even lived up to anything near that for us.
And he's forgettable. He will be forgettable. 25 years from now, when you do your starting 11 for Charlotte FC on their 25th anniversary, Carroll Swiderski will be nowhere near that roster. Hands down.
On our 25th anniversary? Are you serious?
I mean, I agree. I think the only thing he's notable for is being our first DP
in our history.
Like you're using 25th anniversary as your that's where you're going with that. Like we can't even get solid DPs in the first 3 seasons, and he's clearly the best player we've ever had on our team.
Yeah, let's go ahead and put a pin in that one because he's
the best person we've had on our team.
Hey, can I add a point to that real fast? I've been listening to this, and I agree with both on some aspects. I think, yes, Karol Swiderski was one of the few players that actually performed, but I also think he was a glory hunter all for himself. He didn't necessarily make anybody else on the team better by being on the pitch, and that's why I think we are desperately lacking besides for like Ashley Westwood. He didn't make anybody better.
He didn't create plays and like pass off and make amazing plays that were passes or, just straight up goals. He didn't do any of that. He didn't make creative plays and just create stuff for the team that led to goals.
Well, let's go ahead and put a pin on it. He's not with the team. He didn't want to be with the team.
Actually,
so Jay,
he
go
still
ahead.
is actually kind of with the team because he's only on loan, technically.
Let's talk about the game
He's
tonight.
never coming back to Charlotte. Karol Swiderski will never even set foot in Charlotte ever again.
That is still an opinion.
Hey, Jay.
An opinion held by Zoran Kreneta, the general manager.
Let me kick it over to my friend Danny Brands. Welcome to the chat, Danny. What were some of your takeaways from the game today, brother?
My takeaway is just most disappointing night of the season. Thanks for hosting, Luke. Thanks for letting me speak. I appreciate everybody. I'm sorry I jumped in late. I said fire this up earlier, and then I spaced it out because I started doing stuff. So my takeaway was disappointing. It was the most disappointing night of the season for sure, and I think everybody kind of echoed that. But just the inability to get outshot that badly is really rough. I know it's on the road, but they just double us up in shots, even if not worse. So that was what really bothered me because we keep talking. Dean has always said bad. Whenever we've missed all these chances before, he's always said hey, at least we're getting chances. And tonight we didn't even really get chances, except for the couple of big ones that Patrick missed. Obviously, we could talk about that, but I felt like we didn't get enough chances, even though being on the road.
Talk about Enzo Capetti to us.
I mean, I wish he would have got to that one beautiful cross right at the end. I don't know. I don't think he really had a huge impact on the game. There was one point where he had a perfect square ball to Arfield inside the box that he should have made, and instead he did this crazy little skip to my Lou, he tried to pop pass it to the back post, which was ridiculous. I thought that was horrible from him. So I wasn't too impressed with him tonight. I was kind of happy enough to see him sub on because he's here and I want to see him succeed, but I don't think he succeeded tonight, unfortunately.
Can I ask you one more question?
Of course. Ask me 10 more questions. I don't care.
Okay. Well, I don't want to 2 more matches, no Enzo goals. Where are you?
It's funny because I was talking to someone about this tonight. I think it was my friend Keegan. I was like, I feel like we have to give him the season, but then I saw that pop pass and I was like, what the hell are you doing, bro? So I don't know. I mean, it seems like you're kind of negative on him, Jay, right? Like you're not a big fan.
I'm not. I just don't see it. I don't see it. I don't know
I
what.
think that's fair. One thing, and again, this was a conversation with my friend Keegan. He said we signed Enzo off of his career season where the one time he led the Argentine Premier Liga in goals, and I think, and he said I didn't fact check this, but he said, and his previous career high in any season was 6. So like, what the hell? So he was pretty pissed about it, and I could double check that number, but I think
Winger.
it's accurate. Yeah.
I think he was a winger before he got converted into a striker. So
Yeah. So
I don't
Yeah, and
know where his service was coming from. You
there
know,
was one beautiful ball. That one beautiful ball, I think Kerwin served it up, right? Once Yuri came in and Kerwin came over to the right,
yeah,
and Kerwin served up
yeah,
just
it
a
was Kerwin on the
pure
right.
beauty. Yeah, I mean that deserved a finish for sure.
like
And I can't help but think with another, foot or two of reach, a striker could have hit that. And I found myself thinking a few times in that second half that I wish Pat was still on. But
Yeah, what can you do?
yeah, what can you do? That's it. I mean,
Even Lloyd said
regardless of
that at one point. Sorry, Lloyd said at one point he was wanting Pat to be subbed out, and then by the time it got to the end, he was like, I kind of want Pat back on.
That's
right,
funny as hell.
Enzo Capetti versus St. Louis, first game we ever saw him. That header goal gave me so much hope because I thought that was a phenomenal goal. And ever since then, it's just been like, ugh.
I mean, the facts are kind of agree with you. I mean, it's tough. But people appreciate all the work he does without scoring goals. Like within the team, they all appreciate it. I don't know if they'll keep appreciating it if the goals don't come. Maybe we should just convert him to winger.
yeah. I mean, or Cam with this hold up play, I think he could be maybe more valuable. Brecht does not seem to be getting it done, in my opinion. Speaking of another player, I mean, he has these moments of brilliance, and I think he's holding it down with some productive play and passes, but he's not giving us what we need from a 10.
I'm ready for Vaughn's take, though.
Yeah, I invited him up to speak, and we are actually at our limit for speakers. So, I'm going to invite some of you guys to
You
speak.
can take
And
me
if,
off.
How do I get taken off speaker? Yeah, you can take me.
right, yeah, let me go ahead and I can do it on my end.
Actually, you can boot me as well, but before you do, I would love to get y'all's take on the fact that we have Enzo, we have Pat, we have Vargas and Diagere and some of these pieces that aren't clicking on the tip of the spear. Like the only way we can get more goals is volume of opportunities. And we saw that in the last 10 minutes of the games. Like, boom, they're just playing the ball in the box, really, really aggressive play. But for like the first 30 minutes of the second half, they were just dinking the ball around the 20 outside the box and not playing passes in. And it was just driving me absolutely crazy. So I think that I would love y'all's take, but I mean, my kind of solution here is play the freaking ball in the box, zip the ball in and create ugly chances since we can't finish, chances on a silver platter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of our passes were not landing. But hey, let me open up the floor to Vaughn. Saw you joined on as a speaker, so I'd love to get your take on the game, man.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Well, we already heard from our friend Jay. He had a very passionate defense of Karol Swiderski and insisted that I try to say the name in the Polish manner.
Swiderski.
So yeah, I said I'm no Eric Krakauer, but I want to respect everybody's thoughts and feelings here. But yeah, as far as Enzo and Pat, I think he wants us to get rid of both of them and just get 2 new strikers. What are your feelings on Enzo, Vaughn?
I still believe in Enzo. I mean, I said in the thread conversation, he should be on 3 or 4 goals right now. He's on 0. He's missed his opportunities. Pat's young. He's missed his opportunities. Like 1 goal in 7 games from your forwards, it's not going to cut it. Like that's just the reality of it. Um, we need to have goal scorers. You need your DPs scoring. Yeah, Enzo's got to deliver on that, and I still believe that he can. I think we've needed to get Abada in there. I don't think we've seen anything close to Abada's ceiling and his capabilities. I mean, he's not even 90 minutes fit yet. Playing to that level for us, and we still have the summer DP coming. I still believe that there's a very high ceiling for this team. Tonight was bad. Tonight was a bad game. They're going to happen, but there's not a lot of room for these types of games to happen without tanking your season. Are we going to win the Shield? No. I don't think at any point in time this was a Shield team. The expectation needs to be that we get there, and we're not there yet. But I think the team is progressing. Tonight was not a good night. Should have been a win. You need to beat teams that are at the bottom of the table. We had our opportunities. We missed them. That's what happened tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the weather really did play a factor. I know that we play on turf, but their turf looked different than ours. I'm not sure if that was just my perception of it, but I mean, that ball just was not playing well. You saw a lot of guys touching the ball, and it just didn't do what they expected it to do. Brecht passed the ball, and it went about 2 inches, and then he had to double clutch and find it again and pass it again at one point. There was a lot of really kind of weird circumstances. And when the ball, the field of play is so wet, people are sliding around and there were some mistakes. It's 32 degrees there. New England kind of sucks this time of year. But, Dean didn't use that as an excuse that I saw. He just said that we should have won the game. He expects, better performance. Let me toss over to Len. I know you've been on here for a little bit, man. What do you think? I mean, we saw how we did against Columbus and Cincy. Got 4 points in those games at home, but we have just struggled on the road throughout the season, and especially up north. It seems like the Canadian locations in New England. Do you think that plays a part at all?
I mean, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, sorry, I was on my PC here, so just oh yeah. So the one thing I saw tonight was that it just seemed that after the first 15, we came out like a ball of fire. Those first 2 or 3 minutes, we had a couple of chances, right? And we were controlling. But soon after that, about 20 minutes into the first half, it seemed like we were not getting our share of the 50-50 balls. They were just beating us to balls. And our midfield looked really slow tonight. To me, I mean, I know everybody's focusing on the nines, whether it's Patrick or Enzo, but to me, our midfield really lacked tonight, and I think we really need a creative 10 who can better link up, because no matter what we do, if we keep throwing balls over the top and expect Patrick to bring them down and score goals all season, that's not going to happen. The defenders in this league are too good, and they're starting to catch on already. And although Patrick had a couple of golden chances tonight, he didn't convert. All right, but he created those in a way on his own. So, all right, give him a little bit of a pass on that. But our strategy of just hoping that we can bypass the midfield and have Melanda or Westwood from a deep sixth position throw the ball up 40 yards to Patrick to bring it down, that's not going to help Vargas or Abada, no matter what we do. Abada won't sow shit if we can't have a midfield who can link up with him or Vargas. We need a 10. We need a guy, may not be as good as a Cucho Hernandez or an Acosta, but those are the kinds of players. That's the kind of player in that kind of vein that we need to be able to get this team to gel from the back to the front, to allow guys, whether it's Ajimang or Capetti and Vargas and Abada, in my mind, that is the only way this team will get to the next level, because the team's just not good enough right now. We can have flashes of brilliance and play well at home and win games, but for consistency and to win on the road, I really believe that's something we really need. And I'm guessing that's what they're working on trying to get either before the end of this transfer window or in the summer one. Diagore is a good player. He's not a bad player. He just doesn't have that creativity that can really get the ball in and around the 18-yard box quickly to our wings and or to Ajimang. It seems like the balls just have to come from 40 yards away. And that's just not a formula for winning consistently.
Yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I'm gonna go back over to the chat that I'm seeing here on Twitter. Jay Forrest says he does not want to get rid of Pat, FYI. I mean, that's good because he's costing us like 65K a year, so there's no reason to get rid of him. And he right now is our starting striker. We have Juicebox E Fox saying that we need a certified finisher in the summer DP window. Chief Kiefer, if you have belief in Enzo, I have a beachfront property in Missouri to sell you. I'm assuming that's not from the show Ozark. Yeah, I mean, we got a lot going on. I see Ash has his hand up.
I agree with Len completely, and I just want to add a little bit to that. Let's take a look at all of our attackers and who we actually have, and I'm not going to count Breck Diagre because I consider him more of a midfielder. Kerwin Vargas, a young, high potential player. Yuri Tavares, a young, high potential player. Leo Abada, a young, high potential player. Brandon Cambridge when he gets back, a young, high potential player. Our most senior and experienced player is Enzo Capetti in the attack, and he is not good enough. We are relying too much on potential players in the attack, and we need someone who has already proven that they can perform, preferably already in the MLS. And I feel like that if we want to have any success this season or in future seasons, we need that player who has already proven they can consistently perform. We do not have that yet.
Yeah, I agree. Joe Garcia, I see you in here, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Not much. I was told you have thoughts on the game.
Yeah, man, I got to tell you, this probably has to be the worst match in our history, I think. There's no way we should have lost this game, and we did, and it's really disappointing. I don't even know where to start. I mean, Pat was just completely ineffective tonight at all. Vargas didn't look good at the beginning of the match at all. I think Dean waited way too long to sub players in. They had, after the first like 10, 15 minutes of the match, they had nothing going on. I don't know what he was thinking, leaving some of these guys in. Jalen definitely, I'm surprised that Jalen even made it the full 90, to be honest with you, because I think he kind of didn't look good. I think overall, we, for the first, 5 or so matches, we've had a structure, and it didn't seem like we had it. It seemed like Jalen was way too far up the field. Malanda was covering him a ton. Yeri, I thought, was way too far up the field more often than he usually is, which caused Privet to have to cover for him a bunch. And not that Yuri had a bad game. It's just I feel like the back line wasn't as solid as it had been. And like everybody else has said, with the exception of Diani, there really wasn't much going on in the middle of the field. And unfortunately, Brecht ain't it either. He's not the 10. But yeah, that's what I have off the top of my head.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Let me ask the group here, and anybody, feel free to jump in. Did we miss Nathan Byrne tonight?
Yes, we did.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Although
I
it's to
think
be noted, I'm sorry. Although it's to be noted, when asked in the presser, Dean about Lindsay's play, he said he did everything he asked of Lindsay, so he was satisfied with it.
Yeah, I don't think Lindsay played necessarily poor. I think that there's a difference in their games. Nathan Burns seems to be better. I noticed that closing players down, where Jalen will play a little bit off of them and give them a little bit more freedom, which did cost them more balls to get into the box at times. I think they're different players, and I think kind of Nathan, in a way, we've kind of been spoiled. Um, yeah, they're not the same player. I don't think Jalen is a bad player. I just think they're different. They're just different.
Yeah. And I mean, I noticed that too. Jalen, he plays so differently on the defensive side, and I haven't seen as much of him this year compared to Nathan. But Nathan has just been a dog and getting after it, and he's been on guys. And I saw, Melanda had some really good moments where he was on guys, and um, just obviously Andrew Privet, the Terminator. He had some really good interceptions and one-on-ones. And Jalen, he would get back, and it was like he was guarding somebody in basketball. He was dropping further into the box than I think Nathan does, and just playing back further. But also, it worked. I don't think he got really beat doing that, but he was just playing. I think for deeper into the box. Uh, let's go to Vaughn first.
Yeah, I mean, I felt Jay did fine tonight. Like he didn't get burned. He did get megged once in the box. He let a cross in. Um, but I don't think it was particularly dangerous, anything that he did. Um, he sent in probably the best ball into the box from the run of play, and nobody was there at the top of the six. Like the same ball that Vrioni got twice at the top of the six, Jalen sent that in, and we didn't have anybody there. Like to me, that was the one play that Capetti didn't get to, right? Like Capetti, nobody was there at the top of the six to try and get their head on it, and that was the time that they got the quality service. Um, but Jay was so far from being a problem tonight, and for going a full 90 when he hasn't been playing at all. These were his first minutes, or I think these are his first minutes the whole season. Uh, I don't think that there's anything that we should be critiquing him to the point of bench him. Like you said, he's a different player from Byrne. I personally like what Jalen provides on the offensive side of the ball more, and defensively, he was not at fault for what happened tonight.
Vaughn, I think you made a really good point about when you said he sent the ball in and there was nobody around the 6 yard box. And I mean, that's kind of epitomizes what our problem was all night. We had every ball that we thought might be a something that would produce something came most of the night came from either near midfield or even sometimes farther back. I mean, there were these long balls over the top. We just can't seem to do much of it once we get 30 yards in front of the goal.
We also had a lot of opportunities off of corners. I think we had really good service, especially from Urinen tonight. Balls going
Yes.
across the box that guys just didn't get their head to, didn't get a foot
Yeah.
to. There was good service there, and we didn't make contact to it. So no, we weren't clinical.
Yeah, and
We're
I
talking
think
about, we've got to increase our chances, and we need these different players. The players we've got are getting the chances. They just need to be clinical. They just need to put it in the back of the net. Dean said it in his post game presser. He was saying, keep the ball on the ground. We need to try and make a keeper have to make a save. Keep it on frame. Right now, we're not consistently getting it on frame. I think we are showing that we have the ability to do it. We just have to have that finishing touch. I could be wrong on that. I think it's still there.
Yeah, and I was saying I thought Yuri had a great game, especially in the second half. I thought he was maybe the most valuable player on the pitch. I We had a lot of people disagree. I know Dave was giving me a thumbs down when you were talking about his corner kicks. So we did talk about that before you got on, but I would agree. I thought he had a fantastic game. He was dispossessing guys just all over the field. He was a problem for New England. And if we had 11 Euronins out there, I think the result may have been a little bit different.
Well,
Ash,
and
I
I
know
just want
you're up
to add,
next.
I just want to add quickly. I think the other thing that was off for me tonight was the sense of urgency. It was that we didn't up a gear when we needed to. it was way too late before we saw that like go after him. And I think that was the other thing that was, I think, more disheartening for me, was like, just go for it, get aggressive, make it happen. You're down a goal, like you got to just push and go. And we didn't see that sense of urgency.
All right, guys. And I know we have a few more requests to speak. I'm going to try to cap it at maybe another 10, 15 minutes here. Next up, we have Ash Hamrick and then Soccer Sheet.
Just to bring it back to Jalen Lindsey a little bit, I tend to agree. I don't think Jalen Lindsey had a bad game. I think the situation with him is kind of interesting. I I don't want to say he's a bad player, but I don't think he's the right player for the way we want to play. Because I agree with Luke when it was off of a crossfield switch. Jalen Lindsey was closing down the New England player, and instead of like rushing to him, he sort of like backed off into a box and let the New England player come to him. I think it's because that Jalen Lindsey is just not fast and doesn't have the stamina quite like Nathan Byrne does. And I think the way we want to play, we have to have fullbacks who are one, fast, and two, can be fast for the entire game. And I just don't think Jalen Lindsey is that player. I think we maybe should keep him as like a sub, an impact sub maybe, but I just don't see Jalen Lindsey as a player who can consistently run up and down the pitch quite like Nathan Byrne can and fast enough for the way we want to play. I do agree that he had some pretty good crosses, but again, that's about it. And in terms of like the dropping back in the box, I feel like if you do that too many times during the season, you're gonna get beat. And I don't think we can really risk that. If that had been Nathan Byrne probably would have closed him down so fast and not allow him to um get as close to the box as the New England player did. But because Jalen Lindsey isn't as fast as Nathan Byrne, he managed to close down to the goal and almost get an assist off that. So I do think we really do need Nathan Byrne back.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm seeing in the comments here, Westwood had some good passes. I agree. Let's see, what else do we have in the comments here? It's amazing to see our defense perform under Dino. Yeah, absolutely. I think Kalina had, a few good stops in there. And with that, let me kick it over to Soccer Sheet, our regional reporter covering soccer in the Carolinas and more. Sam, what do you got for us?
Oh man, clearly you've given way too many expectations here. Um, so I just want to hit a couple of these quick. I think funny how things change year to year. After getting so much criticism last year, it's really clear that Nathan Burns a key building block here. I think on the Yay Ray debate, I think he had a really good game, except for the mistake that led to the goal. Um, I think with Jalen, to be fair, he's rusty. I mean, this is, his only minutes of the year. It's, I think it's fair to say that if he had been playing the last 5 matches, we might have seen a different Jalen Lindsey. And of course, the one thing that Jalen brings that Nathan doesn't is that attacking potential. And I feel like Jalen was almost there, but it might have been a confidence thing, might have been um, you know, just haven't been on the pitch thing. Um, I think it's worth mentioning. I've got questions about Enzo again, like so close, but still at 0 for the year. Very interesting to see like how this dynamic plays out going forward, because I think you can also flip it around and say, would Enzo have gotten some of the chances that Patrick had? And you never know. I do think more points for Jalen Lindsey being a great human being. When he was talking in the post game about him trying to help Patrick after Patrick wanted to take all the responsibility for the loss. Obviously this is a team sport, and unless you're Harry Kane skying a penalty kick, it's really hard to take sole credit for a loss. And then finally, to agree with something Vaughn said earlier, the second half between the 45th minute and the 80th minute or so is the only time all season this year that I have seen Charlotte be like aimless and lost in the doldrums, in the way that they were in many second halves last season, just like confused and not knowing what to do. Um, that obviously is never a good look for this club. But finally, this this game is the reason I don't bet money on sports, because I absolutely thought Charlotte was going to come in and win this game. And what do I know?
Yep, your boy got hosed on that one. Whoops. And I see we have CLT sports fan in here, or sports fanatic. What's up, man?
Uh, Disappointed. It's really an unacceptable result for the evening. Was all proud of Dean for trying to give the team bulletin board material, but now we just look stupid talking about don't make promises you can't back up, and then that's the performance the team puts out there. Um, I know a lot of people are big fans of Pat. I think Pat gets himself into decent spots at times, but dude can't finish, just like Enzo can't finish right now. But at that point, you're paying Enzo $6 million. You got to put Enzo on the field. Um, I agree. The attack just looks weird when Enzo's out there. I'm sorry, when Pat's out there. Just a lot of deep passes. I mean, trying to play over the top. Patrick's not winning a ton of them. My biggest concern, and I said it again, I know some people think Urinen was fouled. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times. I think he just gets poked there, holds the ball too long. But this team has got to figure out how to stop giving up late goals or extra time goals. That is our Achilles heel. We seem to collapse in those moments. We make all the mental errors and give up goals. And that's going to be the big thing. We're tough to beat. We can't score, so that's a problem. But if we keep giving up these blunder goals, it's going to be another long year.
Yeah, you're reading my mind, man. I was about to say, just to open up the floor to anybody who wants to jump in. What do we do to stop these goals in extra time at the end of the first half, at the end of the game? We see 6 minutes or 8 minutes of extra time get added on, and it's immediately like, oh no, here we go again. But what do we do to lock things down?
It seemed tonight we were just pressing at the end of the first half, trying to make something happen. Because I noticed when they scored the goal, I think it was Sam or the announcer who was saying it's a 4-on-3, and I kept waiting to see our fourth defender, and I don't know who it was, or even a midfielder starting to track back, and they weren't
Yeah,
even in the picture.
yeah. So a lot of people, I was talking with some people that were at watch parties tonight. You guys probably didn't see this, I guess, but like Yuri got fouled on the attacking
Mm,
half of the field. He went down. The player hit him from behind. He went down, and it should have been called. And the ref said play on when it was a clear and obvious foul. So he
gotcha.
was down on the field, and that the counterattack was 4-on-3 because our defender had already been fouled on that play. So that's what they scored on. But
Gotcha.
he did make it back right before the goal was scored, and he was so out of position he was unable to contribute to an effective defense. But yeah, I mean, was I the only one that saw that, or was anybody else watching?
No, Dean talked about it in his presser as well. He was upset about that. He said there's no way that shouldn't have been a foul. He said in his professional soccer life, he didn't know how that couldn't be called a foul.
Well, I'll tell you from the angles I watched, he holds the ball too long, and from the side, it looks like he just got it poked away from him. It actually didn't look like there was a foul. It looked like the defender played him right. He's trying to turn right, starts to lose his balance a little, and he pokes the ball away. So I actually don't think Urinen was fouled on that play.
Okay. Yeah. All I saw was the wide shot. Dave, what's that?
I mean, the stoppage time stuff and giving up goals. It's good to see that we're trying different things. We went all of 2023 of parking the bus for every second, and I think we just need to find that balance. Maybe not have the back line up so forward when we're trying to be aggressive during those minutes. But I think Dean has to find the balance in order to keep these things from happening.
Yeah, and we're going to start to wrap things up. So we have a ton of speakers here. We're pretty much maxed out on our speaker count right now, but uh, I'll just open up the floor. Like, what questions do you have about Charlotte FC? Moving forward, we're playing Toronto at home next weekend, and then I believe Minnesota the Sunday after. So we get a Sunday game. But what questions do you have about Charlotte FC, about Dean, about the lineup? The mentality, strategy. I mean, what are we thinking?
So, Luke, as a
And
parting shot, I'll just, if I could, for a sec. So, we've played 630 minutes of soccer this year. We've scored 3 goals that were non-penalty kicks, even strength goals in 10 and a half hours of soccer. 3 of our goals have been even strength.
hey, Len, is that good?
No, that's horrible. So I think we got to find a solution. We got to find a little bit more creativity and find ways to get more bodies around the box and better and just more link up play from that 30-yard last third of the field in. That's all I got to say.
Okay, I agree. I think we need to score more. Let's do Queen's pitch and then Ash.
I just think we need to figure out why we can't finish. It doesn't make any sense. And I asked Jalen in his presser why we can't seem to finish, and he said something about practicing. So I have to go back and listen to what he actually said. Something about how they practice it. But then I also asked Ashley after the game about it as well, and he said he wishes that he knew so they could fix it. So I don't. I think it's a problem. I think once we learn how to finish, then we'll be on fire. But for some reason, we can't make a goal to save our lives.
I know that's right, Ash.
Just to echo my point earlier, we need an experienced player in the attack that is not Enzo Capetti. We are relying too much on potential players, and I think that's contributing to why we can't really finish because none of our attacking players besides Enzo Capetti are proven experienced players. We are relying way too much on young potential players, and we need that one player who can um, completely change the game and make our attackers better. And we don't have that.
Well, our window is still open, and we have another one coming up in the summer. Dave, what's up? Parting shots, questions, thoughts about Charlotte FC moving forward to this Toronto match.
I mean, MLS is a potential players league. There are very few superstar caliber players in the league, so I don't see that as a downside. My big question going forward is you have a lot of young guys that have seemed to have caught the yips, uh, and how are we going to bounce back from that? I'd rather see a confident Kerwin Vargas take 7 shots on uh, on target than see a Kerwin Vargas that we saw today. Same with Breck. I'd rather see Breck be a player that is trying to create something for us to build off of instead of just being somebody feeding it to Abada to get Abada in. Those kinds of adjustments to bounce back is going to be the big question against a Toronto team that kind of, we held our own against up there, but also kind of made us look a little bad too. Um, and how much of that is going to be the players and how much of that is going to be playing at home. And we'll see.
I hear you. Vaughn, we keep waiting for the floodgates to open. I keep saying it's going to be a 3-0 game for Charlotte. What is it going to take for those floodgates to open? And, what do we need to see from Charlotte FC going into next week?
Clinical. Just need to put it on frame. Just be consistent on putting on a frame, challenging keepers, and the goals will come. So I think getting in front of home fans will be good. I think having a little bit of a revenge game against TFC will be good. I think trying to respond to this disappointing performance will also be a good thing. Hopefully that happens next week, but we'll see. Uh, the team wants to turn the tide, and we heard Andrew Privet say they feel like they're on the cusp of something really special. I think that we are angry and upset and disappointed and all of those things because we feel that this team has a higher level and they're not there yet.
I would agree with that. And I'll kick it over to Jay Forrest.
Enzo Capetti is going to come nowhere near 15 goals this season. And Vaughn telling me that he would owe me as many beers as Enzo falls short of that. I'm willing to offer him an olive branch and tell him that you only need to owe me as many as Enzo falls short of 15 goals over 2 seasons.
All good.
All right. Sam Spencer. Final thoughts, parting shots, or questions moving forward. What do we got?
I think right now we're waiting for Leo Labata to be adjusted. Clearly, that's going to be. He wasn't there tonight. You know, he's been in the States for 10 11 days at this point. So I think we're waiting there, and I think everybody who thinks that we are waiting on a 9 or a 10, you got your game to prove your point tonight.
Absolutely. I think that's going to just about do it here. If anybody else wants to jump in before we head out of here, feel free.
I just want to say that I love Vaughn's takes on so many things, but I'm past it with the Enzo.
Yeah, I picked Enzo to be my player of the year for Charlotte this year. I'm hoping he does well because I think if Enzo does well, that means that Charlotte will as well. I think that, if he can get 10 plus goals this year, that bodes well for our finish on the table. And, we'll see what happens with PKs, but it looks like he's probably at this rate not getting goals through penalties.
Yeah, we,
You
we just
know,
we just need the floodgates on Enzo. It's simple as that. I mean, it's not just me. I'll say that too.
We all want it to happen.
Listen to Bradley Wright Phillips talk about Enzo, and he's a former Golden Boot winner, multiple Golden Boot winner in the league, and he feels that Enzo has those skills. Go listen to Kevin Egan talk about that on the last Charlotte Soccer Show. Like there are really good soccer people that believe in Enzo, and he hasn't proven it. His numbers aren't there. I'm not saying that they are. I think he has a higher ceiling. We haven't seen it while he's been here. I think there's been times he hasn't been set up for success. I think he's acclimated to Charlotte now. I think that he's going to perform better with Abada on the field. I still think he or Pat need service, right? Like we haven't seen Diani feed the ball into Capetti yet, the same way he has to Ajimong. Um, You know, Enzo had the breakaway 1v1 that was off of a turnover and didn't score. Patrick's now had the forced turnover, didn't score. And Enzo's got to do it. He's got to perform. You know, we were talking about difference makers. DPs are brought in to be difference makers. Enzo hasn't been that. Abada, he's been brought in to be a difference maker. You know, I said it in the comments. Like, he's not here as a high upside guy. He's already got 4 seasons under his belt with 10 plus goal contributions. He's a guy that should be playing in a top 5 league. So yeah, he's got to come out there, and even though he's 22, he's got to be a team leader. He's got to put the team on his shoulders. Enzo's got to put the team on his shoulders. They've got to take accountability, and it will prove out whether or not they do.
Yeah, I mean, I still think Dean's the right guy for the job. I think, reactionary takes about, Dean being on the hot seat after this game are just nonsensical. I think, Facebook is a toxic cesspool for soccer fans. Ash, what's up, buddy?
I just wanted to address something that I heard in the last spaces. I can't remember who it was, but I believe it should be shut down right now. And it was that someone questioned whether Kalina was the right keeper for us. I just think Kalina is nowhere near being an issue for Charlotte FC. There's no telling where we would be without him. And someone said that like his distribution is not great with him constantly shooting long balls. And I just wanted to say I think he's been told by Dean Smith to do that. But yeah, I think we are very lucky and fortunate to have a keeper like Kalina, and that he should not be considered anywhere near a problem right now.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm one of those people that thinks that Kalina is maybe the second or third best keeper in the Charlotte, soccer scene. I think Austin Pack is probably better with Charlotte Independence and Isaac Walker when healthy. Even Dunze for Crown Legacy. I think all of them could give him a run for his money. I'm not saying they could take his job, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. That being said, I just to illustrate maybe another point for what I was saying earlier about the field conditions and the weather, he was doing a lot of long throws today, which I don't normally see from him. And I thought his distribution from goal was better than average. I think we should maybe look at doing long throws more often instead of just bombing it deep. But yeah, I think that's, once again, I'm not a clean hater. He makes mistakes that I wish he wouldn't sometimes. See last game, but I think we're kind of wrapping things up. Is there any other final thoughts here?
One thing I was
Sure.
gonna say real quick. Yeah, I agree. Kalina was bowling tonight. At least what I thought. Thought he was trying to get that turkey in the 10th frame, all the rollouts, but I mean the distribution worked for the night. My big thing, again, I know people are frustrated with Enzo. I personally don't get all the hate Enzo's way. His year last year was very similar to Carroll's first year with the complaining, but everyone in Carroll's second year gave him the pass. But my last, I guess, shot is keep the same energy. Like if you're coming at Enzo for all these things, nobody's saying nothing at Pat, and Pat's making all the same errors.
Pat,
Yeah, at 1/10 of the salary hit, I think would be the counterpoint on that. But I love Big Pat.
I would like to mention I said we should get 2 new strikers at the beginning of this. I'm done with both of Patrick and Enzo at this point.
I will take Patrick as a third string striker.
I mean, hey, Pat can be a starter in my book. I'm still good with him. I mean, we're still only a few games into the season. It's been a lot of road contests that have been the source of most of our frustration here, as well as officiating. And the lack of finishing is, to me, the most concerning thing, because that's not just Charlotte FC. It's also what I've been seeing from Crown Legacy. So I have to wonder if it's something systemic. And I'm hoping that it's just going to be a law of averages, and they're going to revert to the mean, start closing out these opportunities. With that, guys, we had an interesting plot point tonight. We had Scotty Arfield sub out for Liel Abada sub out for Scotty Arfield, I believe. Celtic player for a Rangers player. That is the old firm. I'm sure you will all join me in watching that tomorrow morning. And until next time, come on, you boys in green.
Come on, man.